Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to you about how the Lord has been moving to reopen the office that we had before in a bigger and better way. How in February of 2015, the prosecutor came to our house, the National Prosecutor for Crimes Against Women, and how in March of 15, with her, we opened up an office for victims in the mayor's office, which is functioning, but it's not functioning in the way that it needs to function. And how in the early part of 2006, God told me to go look up Stand in the Gap on Amazon, and I discovered Pastor Choco's book, Stand in the Gap, and how I ended up going to the Justice Conference. And by the hand of God, the Justice Conference was paid for, and also the class I signed up for didn't happen, and I had to take the other one, which we met Bruce Strom at Gospel Justice Initiative, and he's helping us to open up a justice center. And he's a great godly man, has a lot of wisdom. He's been mentoring us a great deal. And how we began speaking with the International Justice Mission, and we're hoping that we can do some work with them maybe in 2018, but we're speaking to them regularly and establishing a relationship with them. It's all about relationships and work. And the police officers have been asking when we're coming back, and I've begun to tell them that in 17 we're going to open up a justice center. They're very excited about this. I did in July this year, 2017 or 16, sorry. I was invited to a justice program in Tolunga, in which I had the opportunity to speak with the new colonel in Tolunga, and he's excited about the possibility of this work. And I also spoke to the new head of the prosecutor's office, and he's very excited about this work. But there were some more things that happened. As I said, I spoke at the New York Law School on the violence that was pushing immigration to the United States from Honduras. And there was a woman there who had been the Fulbright Scholar in Guatemala. Her name is Elizabeth. And there was a woman there named Carla, who was the expert on El Salvador. And I was the expert on Honduras at this panel. Just a few weeks ago, in January, Carla from El Salvador said that she was coming to Honduras. Well, first of all, I need to back up a little bit because something else happened. In October, during one of my meetings with the representative from the International Justice Mission, she said that she wanted to recommend us to this organization called CHAPDI, and this woman, Helen, who was the founder and president of CHAPDI. They're an organization in Cambodia that works with trafficking victims, and they have a coalition of ministries throughout Asia that work together to combat trafficking, and they also deal with child sexual abuse and things like that. And she said that she wanted to refer me to Helen and CHAPDI because they were bringing people, ministries from Latin America to Cambodia over the possibility of some collaboration of work. And I said, okay, fine, introduce us and all of that. And later it was interesting because I was talking with my husband Lee. I said, nobody's going to pay for me to go to Cambodia. Well, talk about the move of God. We got in contact with the representative for the organization, and interesting thing happened. Within 24 hours, it was actually 20 minutes short of 24 hours from the referral, I actually had tickets in my hand to go to Cambodia. Paid for. Didn't have to pay for the trip. We did help with a hotel. It was just a couple $100 for the week that we were there, and paying for some food. But other than that, I got the chance to go to Cambodia in November of 2016 and meet with these amazing people in Cambodia who have this coalition for sex trafficking. And they have 50 some odd organizations throughout Asia that are members of their coalition. When I say we, I'm talking about a representative from an organization in Mexico and 2 representatives from an organization in Costa Rica. And myself went to meet with the people from CHAPDI and learn about their program and their coalition, and then to attend their annual conference. It was amazing, absolutely amazing trip, full of meetings. We were exhausted. I was exhausted coming back, but it was amazing. And we decided that we wanted to do this. And so Chapdai is collaborating with us and empowering us to create a coalition in all of Latin America. Now remember, we first came to Honduras and thought we were just going to work in a village. And then when the colonel came to us, we thought we were just working in Tolanga, in the county of Tolanga, and it was the entire state. And then the ministry grew so that we were working in all of Honduras and working to change a nation. Now, Heart of Christ is being launched into global ministry and leadership. So while we were having this meeting, I'm the only one there who works in all justice. The others only work in sex trafficking and child sexual abuse. Nothing wrong with that. But I felt the Lord impressing on me that this coalition in Latin America needed to be more than just sex trafficking and sexual abuse, for the specific dynamics of the problems in Latin America. And when we're talking about Latin America, we're talking about Central and South America and the Caribbean, all of the Latin countries. And so during this meeting that we were having to discuss what would be the purpose of the coalition, what would we do, what would we focus on, I didn't speak up. And I said, God, if I speak up, they're going to say, well, you work in all of the justice areas for special interest groups, women, children, elderly, the vulnerable groups. We only work in sex trafficking and sometimes child sexual abuse. That's what I thought they would say to me. So I said, God, if this is what you want, and this is in the middle of the meeting, I'm having this conversation with the Lord in my head, if this is what you really want, then make them want that. About 5 or 10 minutes later, one of the girls from Costa Rica, she's an amazing young lady, all of them are amazing people, she says, I really think that because of the special dynamics of Latin America, that we need to focus more on the vulnerable groups and the problems that they have in Latin America, covering all aspects of justice ministry. And I just sat there and I was like, she almost said word for word the words that I wanted to say but was afraid to say. And I held my breath and I looked around the table as they were thinking. Unanimously, everybody at the table said yes. And so we're in the process now of creating a justice coalition for Latin America. What does that entail? That entails us finding people in other countries who work in justice and uniting them in a coalition internationally. And right now I'm telling you about how everything happened. And probably in the next episode, I'm going to tell you the details of what we're going to do with that. So Heart of Christ is already working to open up a justice center, which is a victim's office, advocacy for victims, independently, outside of the government, so that we can work alongside the government for victims, advocating for their care, so that it can be done stronger, but with the same purposes and manner in which we did it before, so that we'll have the success that we did it before. We're also planning on holding a justice conference. I've been discussing this with Bruce at Gospel Justice Initiative for several months now, probably in October of 17. And some things started happening with the Honduran Fellowship where missionaries started calling me and telling me that they wanted to work in justice. And we started talking about having trainings for missionaries. So back in October, before the Chapdai thing came up, we decided that we were going to create a justice coalition in Honduras, which is really not difficult to do. We can put it together with all of the people who are interested in it. And so we have the Justice Center opening up this year. We have the Justice Conference we're going to have this year. The Justice Coalition in Honduras that we're putting together this year. And now we're called to global ministry to help set up a justice coalition for all of Latin America. And I'm in charge. Each of us, it's a 3-year plan that we have. And each of us in the International Latin American Justice Coalition, we've got 2 countries assigned to us apart from our own country that we're supposed to go to find people who work in justice and invite them into this coalition and start with meetings. And my countries assigned were El Salvador and Colombia. So I've been racking my brain for the last couple months. As I said at the beginning of this episode, Carla, who was on the New York Law School panel with me in June of last year, 2016, sent me an email saying that she was coming to Honduras and that she wanted to get together. She wanted to come see the ministry. You know, she'd heard about it when I spoke at New York Law School. And she also, went after that conference in April, June, at New York Law School. About July, Elizabeth, who was previously the Fulbright Scholar in Guatemala, told me that there was a Fulbright Scholar assigned to Honduras to study the violence-pushing migration, and that she would be coming at the end of the year. And she and I had communicated, the new one, her name is Marna, the Fulbright Scholar for Honduras. And so Carla said that she was going to visit Marna and that she and Marna wanted to come to our ministry. So I was like, great, wonderful. Not really thinking about it. And so here they were sitting in my house one Saturday early in January. I think it was the first or second Saturday after New Year's. And I'm sharing with them the ministry, sharing with them all the things that I've shared with you in the previous episodes. And then it struck me. Carla is in El Salvador and she works in justice. So I began, I was telling her about the Justice Coalition, and I said, can you help me with this in El Salvador? And this is what she said, that she would work to get all of the NGOs that work in justice ministry, government officials that work in justice, missionaries who work in justice, together for a meeting so that I can go to El Salvador and teach all of them about our justice model so that maybe they can duplicate it in El Salvador. Imagine this. Imagine this. And we could get the Justice Coalition going. But then after showing her our children's home and, we're the one that we're building, and showing her what we're doing with the children that we have in our children's home and a refuge, she then said that she wanted me to meet with the leaders in child welfare in El Salvador and teach them our model, because she'd never seen a model like we had for our children's home and refuge, so that possibly could be duplicated in El Salvador. And I'm thinking about this as this is happening and after she left, and thinking about how God is moving in to move this work, expand it out into the international level. 2 days later, I received an email from the woman from Mexico that went with me to Chabdai. And she's a social worker for that organization in Mexico, Pozo la Vida. El Pozo de Vida is the name of their ministry in Mexico City. And she's a social worker. And she said that she had been speaking with the leaders of that ministry and how they want me to come to Mexico City and spend time teaching them our model for our justice program and our victims program and our children's home and refuge for victims of violence. And I'm just amazed to see how God is opening all of the doors. And while we had that meeting in my house that Saturday with Carla from El Salvador and Marna, the Fulbright Scholar here in Honduras, Marna told me that Elizabeth, the former Fulbright Scholar from Guatemala, was going to be in Honduras soon, and that she would bring her up here to visit. So I'm hoping that I can talk to her about the Chabdai business that happened, and maybe she can give me the contact I can give to the person who is in charge of Guatemala so we can get that moving. So as you can see, God has been moving step by step by step, opening doors for us to be able to do this work. And I remember saying to my husband after that Saturday meeting in our house with Carla and Marna and another young lady, Alejandra, who came with her. She's an amazing young lady. I'm hoping to do some work with her too. She works in Tegucigalpa. Can it be this easy? It was that easy to open it in the beginning when they came to us. And now God is just opening doors, and all we have to do is walk through them. So we're beginning to run out of time. I'm trying to keep these talks with you short. I'm really enjoying having these talks with you. You have no idea how much I enjoy them. I hope that you're enjoying them as much as I am. But next week, I'm going to tell you step by step what it is that we're going to do with the new justice ministry this year, the plans that we have, the needs that we have, and I just hope that I don't know. I'm just going to share it all with you. And we'll see what God does with that. And remember that when things get overwhelming, when things get difficult, God is always in control. He always holds back the sea, and He always goes before us. And when you're doing real work for the Lord, you are going to face struggles. You are going to face challenges. You are going to need to endure. And you're going to need to be, as I jokingly say all the time, super glued to Jesus. Excuse me. So all we need to do is stand. All we need to do is keep sticking ourselves to Him, stay close to Him, and serve Him. Walk through the doors and dream big. As I said in the beginning, we had no idea what it was that God was going to do with us. We obediently came. We came not knowing what we were going to do. And it was a good thing we didn't know. How could we have believed in 2004 when He told us to come that we would change a nation, that we would move to global ministry to change other nations, that we would have an impact that would forever change the lives of thousands of people, that would bring hope to tens of thousands of people, that we would share the love of God and the power of God and the rescue of God and the restoration of God and the justice of God with thousands and thousands of people across the globe. How would we believe that it was possible that just me and my husband, two ordinary people, would work with two presidents as of this moment, two first ladies, be constantly working with 5 members of the presidential cabinet, be working with the leaders of all the government institutions that work in justice and work in human services, that we would be respected to the point that we would be sent to other countries, that we will be asked to come and teach this work in other countries. I marvel about it every day. I just marvel about it every single day. We would not have come because if God had told us in 2004 that this was going to happen, we probably wouldn't have believed that it was possible. And then there's the danger aspect, the 5 assassination attempts, the order to knock me out, the death threats, the difficulties, the politics that are involved that we have to overcome, the corruption and other things that we have to deal with. Yeah, my dog's putting in his 2 cents too. But it would have been too scary. But you see, step by step, God brought us into this. And step by step, He showed us that He would protect us and that He would keep us safe. I received Jesus Christ at 7 o'clock at night on the 27th of March, 1987. I don't want to die. But I'm not going to not do what God has called me to do because it might be dangerous. And the reality is, if someday you do receive a news report that I was found face down in a ditch or shot up in my car, I've gone to be with Jesus, and none of this is my problem anymore. I've done what I've been told to do. I've run my race. I don't want that to happen. I want to be here until I'm 80, 90 years old doing this work. And so I'm going to walk in the wisdom of God and listen to His voice and do this in the manner that He says, and He will protect us in doing this work. Remember that. Your light will only go out if you surrender. And Satan will do everything he possibly can to discourage you. But you see, we don't have to do this alone. There are people standing beside us, and God is with us. And if God is with us, who can be against us? And if God is strengthening us to stand in the gap and to make a difference, then we will bring justice. We will bring restoration. We will do all of the things that He has called us to do. This is breathing to me. This is my life. I don't think that I could ever stop doing this, and I don't think that I ever will. My husband feels the same, and one of these days you're going to hear from him. He does not like to be in front of the camera, so that's going to be interesting. But be encouraged that God can use you, that God wants to use you, and that even if you face difficult circumstances, even if you face attacks against you, even if you face people trying to discourage you, don't surrender. Because the minute you surrender, your light goes out. And when your light goes out, hope goes with it. Until next week, when we tell you what we're going to do and how you can help. God bless you.